So, it is that time of year once again, my Premier League predictions for the 2020-21 campaign. And yeah, this time last August, of course, I did do my Premier League predictions for the 1920 campaign, and I think it's fair to say it didn't go according to plan. I got 1 out of 20 right, so hopefully I can get more than that right this year. I mean, that's not too much to ask for, I think. But yeah, to be fair, I'd go as far to say really that this season, more than any other season in recent times, is probably the most difficult to predict in recent years, because first of all, the virus, of course, still lingering in the air, so there's no certainty as to whether fans will get back into the stadiums, and there's no set time as to when it will happen. Also, the fact that the pre-season preparations for pretty much every team in the league has just been absolutely messed up to the core. I mean, barely any teams have had a proper pre-season, especially with the international break and Carabao Cup ties right before the season began. And thirdly, of course, the biggest reason as well is that the transfer window hasn't closed yet. It's not closing for another like 3 weeks, so there's a lot of things that could happen in that time frame in terms of transfers that could transform or deplete a team. So obviously, we're essentially predicting what's going to happen without the next 3 weeks of info that we're going to get that will change obviously how our predictions are ran. So yeah, nevertheless, we're going to get straight into this video now, starting of course with the bottom team in the Premier League, the 20th position for me, and I've gone with West Bromwich Albion. Now I think this is kind of a weird one because I think West Brom are a team that could potentially stay up. In fact, I think they've got some decent players going forward like Mateus Pereira, Grady Diangana, Filip Kravinovic, Callum Robinson, and they're probably going to get Carlon Grant from Huddersfield as well. And they've got some decent players at the back as well like Semi Ajayi. I think Cedric Kipre will be a decent signing in the long term for them, Romain Sawyers in holding midfield, but I just don't think they'll have enough quality in depth, West Brom. I think that their starting 11 is quite good, and I think they'll be a very resolute side. I think they'll get a lot of shock results throughout the season, but overall I think they won't have the strength and depth required to stay in the Premier League, and I think they will get relegated. Whether they're not to finish bottom of the table is anyone's guess, of course, but that's where I predicted them to finish. And second bottom, going down with West Brom in 19th position, I've gone for pretty much a shock one. I've gone for Crystal Palace. Now I know a lot of people are actually tipping Crystal Palace to struggle this season purely because Wilfried Zaha, he's probably played his last game in the Premier League for Crystal Palace. He'll probably leave within this transfer window, and for a team that scored barely any goals, I think they scored like 31, 32 goals last season, and to lose your main goal threat with a goal scoring season like that is just absolutely horrifying for Crystal Palace. They made some decent signings. I like the signing of Eberishi Eze. I think he'll be a very good player for them in terms of creativity. I think Nathan Ferguson's a decent free transfer from West Brom as well, but overall they're a very aging squad, and I think that will be another factor as well. I think Roy Hodgson will be sacked during the season as well. And also another thing as well, for a lot of people that are probably thinking Crystal Palace can't go down, they're a mid-table team. Let's be honest, who would have thought that Watford and Bournemouth would have gone down last season? And there's always that one team that you never expect to go down that does, and I think that'll be Crystal Palace for me. Now on to 18th position, and the third and final team that I'm predicting to get relegated to the Championship in 2021, West Ham United. Now that is one that is going to shock quite a few of you, and for me that is absolutely nothing to do with the quality of their players. I think their squad overall is fantastic. I think they got some very good players, but overall there's a lot of turmoil going on around that club, of course, with the sale of Grady Diangana to West Brom. There's been a lot of outroar on Twitter from the likes of Mark Noble, Declan Rice, Artur Masuaku, and pretty much all their players really. And to be honest, we've seen it before. Turmoil before a season starting is never good news for any side, and for a side that struggled last season, even with the quality they have, I think this will be the season that West Ham have an absolutely horrifying season. Not to mention as well, their start to the season is just horrific. And yeah, I think West Ham, Crystal Palace and West Bromwich Albion will be the 3 teams going down to the Championship next season. So will I be wrong? More than likely yes, but we'll see what happens. Now 17th for me, and marginally surviving relegation by the skins of their teeth, and I have gone with quite a shock one in fairness, Fulham, because a lot of people think they are going to be one of the first sides relegated next season. But I think Fulham are a side that rely a lot on the ifs and buts of, like, you know, their transfer business especially, and whether they have enough quality overall to stay up. I think we could see Scott Parker sacked during the season or leave the club. I know he's just signed a long-term contract, but I think he could get sacked, although I wouldn't be surprised if he did well either. I like some of their transfer business. They've got Alphonse Areola on a seasons-long loan. You know, they've got Ola Aina and Mario Lemina on loan with options to buy. They're more than likely going to sign a striker, a winger, probably some more defenders, and maybe even other midfielders. So yeah, I think it's really a 50-50 whether any of those transfers will pay off or not. But yeah, I think Fulham will surprise a lot of people. I think that they will come 17th in the Premier League this season. In 16th, I've gone with another one that a lot of you are probably going to be surprised about, and I've gone for Burnley. Now the sole reason for me, I think Sean Dyche is a brilliant manager. I think he will keep them up because of course Burnley are a solid side in the Premier League. But the sole reason I think they will struggle this season and will, like, towards the end of the season especially go down to 16th, is because they haven't strengthened whatsoever. They've got rid of Jeff Hendrick. He's gone of course on a free transfer to Newcastle, and it looks like they could be losing James Tarkowski to West Ham, and if that happens that's a massive blow for them. It looks like they are keeping Nick Pope and Dwight McNeil, which is 2 brilliant pieces of business from their end. They haven't signed anyone of note just yet though. I think Burnley's overall quality and lack of depth really, I think they will struggle because they haven't added to the squad, and I think they will finish 16th in the Premier League next season. Now on to 15th, a team that normally does kind of finish in and around this position. I predicted them to come bottom last season and they didn't, of course. Brighton and Hove Albion, I predicted to come 15th. Now I have to say I would have predicted them to come higher, but I just don't know. I think Brighton are one of those teams in the Premier League that are just inconsistent. They have their days and then they have their off days as well. I think keeping Lewis Dunk and then partnering him with Ben White, who's come back from Leeds, is massive for them. The defence is going to be a lot more safe now. I do really like the acquisition of Adam Lallana from Liverpool. I think he'll have a lot of creativity and experience, of course, in that midfield as well. They've let go of Aaron Moy, which is a strange one in my opinion though. But yeah, overall I think Brighton have a lot of quality and they have a very good squad as well in terms of depth, so I think that Brighton will be safe. I think they'll play some decent football under Graham Potter. More progress once again in 15th place in the Premier League. Now on to 14th place, and I've gone with Newcastle. Now a lot of people think that they will finish lower because of course the takeover didn't happen in the summer that they wanted to happen, but Steve Bruce is a solid Premier League manager. If he doesn't stay the whole season, I think Newcastle will get in someone that will keep them up, but I think Steve Bruce will be okay for the season. They've signed Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, both from Bournemouth, two very good attacking signings alongside Alan San-Maximin and Miguel Almiron. Also Jamal Lewis is a sturdy piece of business on left back for them as well, so I think Newcastle will have just enough to survive. I think they'll finish like comfortably enough in lower end mid-table, 14th position for me. Now 13th, one that is probably going to shock a lot of people as well, but I've gone for Sheffield United. Now the pure reason why, do not doubt second season syndrome. It is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I think Sheffield United will be one of the biggest sufferers of that. I think Dean Henderson as well is a massive loss. Of course he's gone back to Manchester United to compete with David De Gea. Aaron Ramsdale's a decent replacement, but I don't think he's at Dean Henderson's level. They've also signed Jayden Bogle and Max Lowe, two young fullbacks of course from Derby County, two brilliant signings for them in my opinion. They've also signed Oliver Burke from West Brom, and to be fair I think that they could finish potentially lower than 13th if things went from worst to worst, because the signs are there. A lot of teams that do really well and overperform in their first season in the Premier League, they normally go down the next season, so I think that Sheffield United, although they won't get relegated, I think they will struggle a lot more than they did last season. 13th position for me. Now on to 12th position, and for me it is Ralph Hasenhüttl's Southampton side. Now they lost Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, for me is a massive loss for them, but they will replace him in the next 3 weeks with someone probably just as good because Southampton's recruiting system is very good. I think Danny Ings won't quite get the amount of goals he got last season. I think he'll get like between 10 to 12 maybe. I do like their signings of Mohamed Salazou and Kyle Walker-Peters, two very good defensive signings in my opinion. I do think Southampton have a very strong squad. It's just that I think that they won't have quite enough quality to get into that top 10, and yeah, I think they'll come 12th, but I do rate Ralph Hasenhüttl and I think he will take them forward in the next few years if he's given the time to do so. So yeah, Southampton 12th. Now on to 11th, and another one that's probably going to shock you all because a lot of people are tipping this side to go down or even struggle for relegation, and I think Aston Villa will finish 11th in the Premier League. I think Aston Villa will surprise quite a lot of people this season. They've signed Matty Cash and Ollie Watkins, both from the Championship, who are two very good signings because they're proven in England, although not in the Premier League. I think they will do so. And they are still going to spend quite a lot of money in the transfer window as well. They're linked with Emi Martinez for Arsenal. I think he'd be an unbelievable signing for them. They're also linked with, of course, Said Benrahma. It looks like they're going to sign Milo Rashica from Werder Bremen, so that'll be another option for them in attack. And yeah, keeping Jack Grealish as well for them is going to be absolutely instrumental. They've also got the likes of John McGinn, Tyrone Mings. So I think Aston Villa will have just enough, obviously, to not be in a relegation battle. I think they will actually do quite well this season and finish in 11th in the Premier League, just outside the top 10. Now into the top 10, and you know yourself, there's always that one team that come up and just exceed expectations and obviously finish in the top 10, and I think this season that will be Leeds United under Marcelo Bielsa. Now the Premier League viewers, of course, are pretty divided on whether they think Leeds will struggle in a relegation battle or exceed expectations and finish in the top 10 like Sheffield United did last season. And I'm in the latter group there because I think Leeds under Marcelo Bielsa are going to be very good next season, and mainly because I think they're going to have the spirit and the fight really in their first season back in the Premier League to do really well and exceed expectations. I like their signings of Rodrigo and Robin Koch, two very good signings who suit Marcelo Bielsa's system. And yeah, I think Marcelo Bielsa is one of the elite tier managers in the Premier League, and I think that he will exceed expectations for Leeds and he will take them forward in the next few years, and I think Leeds are on the rise again. And yeah, I think Leeds United will finish in the top 10 in the Premier League, and I can't express how much I am so happy to see them back in the Premier League because of course I know they had the rivalries with a lot of clubs like Chelsea of course, but Leeds United are a massive club. They're probably in the top 7 or 8 biggest clubs in England, and yeah, it's great to see them back in the Premier League at long last. Now on to 9th, and I've predicted that Wolves are going to drop 2 places. They finished 7th of course in their first 2 seasons back in the Premier League, and I think they will finish 9th in the Premier League this season. I'm not gonna lie, I think that Wolves could actually struggle a lot more like Sheffield United of course. As I said, I think Wolves could potentially finish in the bottom half of the Premier League table. I think losing Matt Doherty to Tottenham, although he's not a world-class player of course, I think he's a very big miss for them going forward, and they haven't really strengthened their squad yet. I know they've got Fabio Silva from Porto for like 35 million euros or something mad like that. He's really a flip of a coin. He's very young. There's going to be a lot of pressure heaped on his shoulders, and he's not even going to upgrade their team really because although he will cover for Jimenez, he won't start over Raul Jimenez. They've signed Marçal from Lyon, the centre-back of course, for less than £2 million, and I watched him in the Champions League for Lyon last season. I thought he was very good, so that's a decent signing for them, especially for the fee they got him for. But overall, I think that Wolves will finish 9th in the Premier League, if not lower, because I think that Wolves, there's a lot of kind of uncertainty about them at the moment, I have to say, and it just really depends on what their transfer business is for the next 3 weeks. But yeah, I think Wolves will finish 9th in the Premier League. Now on to 8th place, and another one that would probably shock a few of you because they did finish very high in the table last season, higher than most people expected them, and I've gone for Leicester City in 8th place. Now the pure reason for this, I think that Leicester could again fight for a European place in terms of the Champions League, but I just think their drop off at the end of last season especially was just absolutely mental, and I think that that will carry over into next season. I think they will be quite good though overall because the players they have, they've got some very good players like Wilfred Ndidi, Yuri Tielemans, James Maddison. Like that midfield is ridiculous. Çağlar Söyüncü, Sancho, Johnny Evans, Jamie Vardy, Jose Perez, Kasper Schmeichel, Ricardo Pereira. There's got a lot of good players. Obviously, they're going to sign more players as well. They've signed Timothy Castagna, of course, from Atlanta for around £22 million, and they're probably going to make 2 or 3 more signings as well. So yeah, I think that Leicester will be okay. I think they'll have a decent enough season in 8th in the Premier League. And now the best of the rest, before we get into the top 6, I've gone for Everton in 7th place, and I know I've once again bought into the fact that Everton had a good transfer window. I do it every single season, like most of you do as well, and they always just disappoint us and finish in like the bottom half of the table. But this is for one reason and one reason only, and that is Carlo Ancelotti. Now, of course, as a Chelsea fan, I've witnessed Ancelotti in his prime, and he is an absolutely exceptional manager, and I think he will do bits for Everton this season and going forward as well. I like their signings of Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré. They're 2 very, very solid central midfielders. I'm still, the jury's out, in my opinion, on James Rodriguez. I think he will be a decent enough signing, but of course, is he past his best? We'll wait and see. They're signing Fikayo Tomori as well on loan from Chelsea, who in my opinion will be a brilliant signing for them, because Tomori is probably good enough to play for Chelsea this season, let alone Everton, so I think he'll be a very good piece of business for them. And yeah, overall, they've got the likes of still Richarlison as well, who'll be a very good player for them next season, and overall, I think that Everton will come 7th and fight for European place this season under Carlo Ancelotti. And now moving into the top 6, and in 6th place, who have I got? I've got Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I think the top 6 will be a lot closer this season than last season, because Tottenham, of course, did finish 6th last season, but for most of the first half of the season, they were in like the lower half of mid-table. But yeah, I think Jose Mourinho has kind of rebounded them a bit, and I think they'll be okay this season. I like their business in terms of Matt Doherty, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I think they're 2 very good signings for them in the near future. 2 players that suit Jose Mourinho's system down to the ground, and yeah, I think Tottenham will be okay. I think they'll fight for Champions League right till the end, but I don't think they'll make it, and I think they will finish 6th. Now, on to 5th place, I've gone for the other North London side, and I've gone for, obviously, Arsenal. Now, I think that Mikel Arteta's first full season in charge of Arsenal will be a success, because, of course, they finished 8th last season, and I think they will go up 3 places this season into 5th place, and I think they will marginally miss out on Champions League football to the 4th place team. They made some okay signings, like Willian's a decent enough signing for the short term. I think Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba will be 2 decent centre-backs going forward. They're also probably going to sign someone like Thomas Partey. They've been linked to Houssem Aouar as well, and if those 2 deals happen, they'll be a very strong side next season. And of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signing a new contract, which of course hasn't happened yet, but will happen in the near future. That is probably the best piece of business they've done this season, because let's be honest, he's a world-class player, and probably their best player by a country mile, if I'm honest. And yeah, I think Mikel Arteta, in his first season in charge of Arsenal's first full season, of course, I think he will do well. I think Arsenal will marginally miss out on the top 4, but it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they got into the top 4. 5th place for me. Now on to the top 4. In 4th place, a popular opinion here, Manchester United for me in 4th place. I'm not gonna lie, I do have a sneaking suspicion that United will be like last season, where they'll struggle towards the start, and I think this year Solskjaer might not last a full season. I could easily be wrong, because it's an out there prediction, but I just have that feeling. But nevertheless, I think United will recover and make it into 4th place. They've signed Donny van de Beek, who's a good signing for them in terms of depth in midfield. Jadon Sancho will probably sign for them now at this stage. They'll probably end up signing a centre back or a left back, so I think that United will end up coming 4th, and they will have a very good season next season in terms of attack. Their attack next season is going to be scary, with the likes of Fernandes, Pogba, Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood. I think that's an absolutely frightening attack for them, and yeah, they will be one of the entertainers in the Premier League next season in terms of watching them play. So yeah, I think Man United will make it into the top 4 again next season. 4th place for me. Now on to 3rd, and to be honest, I'm probably being pessimistic in my terms of view, because of course I've got my club Chelsea in 3rd. Now, a lot of people think that we are in a title race, and although I do share that same opinion, I think I'm going to go for the safer option and just go for 3rd, because if we go for 2nd, I'm going to be exceeding my own expectations, which is going to be a good feeling for me. Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, Kai Havertz, Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Edouard Mendy, all the signings we've made so far that are going to impact us in the near future. I also think we are going to sign Declan Rice from West Ham in the later days of the transfer window, so I think our squad is looking very, very good at not only our attack, but also our defence in some areas as well. So I think we will be in a title race next season, but I do think that we won't have quite enough to get ahead of Man City and Liverpool, and I think we'll finish 3rd, but marginally off the title with a few games to go. So yeah, I think the Chelsea will come 3rd in a title challenge. Now, this is the big one. Who do I think will win the Premier League in 2020-2021? And 2nd place, and I'm literally changing my mind as we go, because I think it's a real 50-50, but I think I'm gonna go for Liverpool in 2nd place. And obviously, I said the same thing last season, and they went on and got 99 points and absolutely steamrolled the league for the whole season, but I'm just sitting here and I wonder, like, will they be able to keep up this style of play for that long? Because of course Jurgen Klopp loves this high pressing, energetic style of play, and sooner or later, especially with the impact that coronavirus has had and the fact that there's going to be so much of a pile on fixtures this season, I think that Jurgen Klopp's side will just about come up short. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if they did go on and won the league this season. They've only signed Kostas Tsimikas, who won't really play that much of a big part this season. He'll just be cover for Robertson. They will probably sign Thiago Alcantara, in my opinion, as a replacement for Wijnaldum, who's going to go to Barcelona. But yeah, overall, I think the title race this season will be a lot tighter than a lot of people expect, and I think that Liverpool will be marginally 2nd. I don't think they'll get near to 90 points. I think that whoever wins the league will probably get 90 points, probably no more than that, because I think the title race this season will be a lot closer overall. But yeah, I think that Liverpool will finish 2nd, which of course means that my Premier League champions for the 2021 campaign, Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. Now I know a lot of people think that City will actually finish second, maybe even third next season, because of course there's a lot of uncertainty at that club at the moment in terms of transfers. They've wasted pretty much a month trying to get Messi, which hasn't happened now. And of course there's a lot of questions surrounding Pep Guardiola at the moment because of that team selection against Lyon where they bottled the Champions League in the quarterfinals. And although they will probably focus solely on the Champions League next season, because of course they will want to win the Champions League with all their breath next season, I think that City will be too strong in terms of their overall squad quality and depth. They've signed Nathan Ake and Ferran Torres, who won't really be key players for them next season, but I think will be very good in terms of the strength and depth for them. They probably will sign someone like Kalidou Koulibaly. They could also go out and get a left back like David Alaba or Alex Telles. I think Koulibaly will be a very good piece of business for them, not only because of his defensive ability, but also because of the leadership he will bring. And yeah, overall I think Manchester City will have just too much firepower, and especially if they sign Koulibaly, they'll be too strong at the back for most teams. Overall around the pitch, I think they have the most quality. And yeah, of course, I think Manchester City will be crowned the champions in 2021, taking back their title from Liverpool, who did of course win it last season. And yeah, as you can see on your screen right now, that is my final Premier League predictions for the 2020-21 campaign, and I have absolutely no doubt that I will get at least a few of these wrong. And to be honest, these Premier League predictions for me could be a lot different in 3 weeks time after seeing the whole transfer window unfold towards the end, which I've taken a gamble at this moment in time because of course the Premier League does start tomorrow, so I'm absolutely buzzing for that. I'm going to be doing live reactions for both Fulham against Arsenal at 12:30 and Leeds against Liverpool at Anfield at 5:30, so yeah, stay tuned to the channel for that. And of course then a live reaction on Monday Night Football for Chelsea against Brighton, my boys, on their first game of the season. I can't wait for that. And yeah, that's where we're going to leave this video, so if you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like on the video. Also make sure to comment down below who you disagree with in these Premier League predictions. Ultimately, I'm quite interested to see how you guys think. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're looking to hit 500 subscribers as soon as we possibly can. It'd be great if we could hit that as soon as possible. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.